Hey guys, Rob Sports Cards here, back with another video, and today I wanted to whip out the holy grail of my sports card collection. This is a 2020 Panini Flawless Dual Rookie Auto Black 1 of 1. Jalen Hurts and Tua turned the ball over. I bought this almost 2 years ago, February 2024. And at the time of this video, it's January 2026. Since I bought this card, and I bought it, by the way, I bought it ungraded. It was in a Panini Flawless sealed case, or sealed one touch, or whatever you want to call it. And then I got it graded just the auto only by Beckett. So bought it 2 years ago. Since then, the Eagles won a Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts won Super Bowl MVP. I was having big hopes that he could repeat and the Eagles could win it again. But those hopes went up in smoke. This is Monday, the day after Philadelphia lost to San Francisco in the wild card round of the playoffs at home, 23-19. Very, very disappointing game. By all accounts. I mean, they had a 16-10 lead going into the fourth quarter. If you lead at home and you're the division champs and San Fran is the wild card and you lead by 6 going into the fourth quarter with that defense that they have, top 5 defense in points allowed, you should win that game, and they didn't. And there was a lot of reasons why they didn't. The defense was unusually leaky. They gave up a touchdown on the opening drive. They gave up a trick play touchdown in the fourth quarter. Christian McCaffrey was a very effective player. Kudos to him. The offensive coordinator, Kevin Patullo, is the worst offensive coordinator in pro football. And former NFL player, Emmanuel Acho, did a great breakdown on that final play, the 4th and 11 heave to the end zone. That, I mean, it was such a poorly designed play. Brett Favre in his prime wasn't completing that pass. Peyton Manning in his prime wasn't completing that pass. And that just speaks to how terrible the OC is. A.J. Brown had a bad game. Big drop. Third down conversion on the final drive. Came up very small in the playoff game. Jalen Hurts was a very pedestrian, blah type of a game. He didn't make any big plays. Saquon Barkley, I mean, he had a big run early in the game, and then after that, he just kind of... he was okay. He had an okay game, but I wouldn't say that he had a standout performance. So there's a lot of reasons why the Eagles are going home. And then, it's especially disappointing knowing how banged up the 49ers were. No Nick Bosa, no Fred Warner. Kittle blew out his Achilles in the middle of that game, so he wasn't available down the stretch, and the Eagles still lose. So what are my expectations for this card moving forward? For this very expensive card in my collection? Well, I still think that the Eagles are a good team. I still think they should be the favorite to win the NFC East next year. Washington is terrible. New York is terrible. Dallas is always, seems like for the last 30 years, they've found a way to come up small down the stretch, even in playoff seasons. So I don't think Dallas is, I don't take them seriously as a threat. The worst the Eagles should do next year is the same thing they did this year. Win the division, host a playoff game, and lose in the first round. The best they could do, obviously, would be win the Super Bowl again 2 and 3 years. And that would really help the value of this card if that happened. And, I don't think they're that far off. A lot of people are talking about AJ Brown. They need to trade him. I don't subscribe to that. Because I remember, I'm old enough to remember the T.O. era of Philadelphia, and he was such a clown that Philadelphia had no choice but to deactivate him for the entire season in the middle of the season and just tell him to screw off and go home. I don't think A.J. Brown's that bad. He's a malcontent. He's not happy. He's a whiner, complainer, but he's too good. He's too good to just get rid of him. I don't think you can replace him. Even if he's not having a good game, you got to roll safety coverage over to his side of the field, and that allows other players to get open. Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, who they really need to re-sign in free agency. Saquon Barkley leaking out of the backfield. So, when AJ's out there, even if he's not a part of the offense in a major way, his presence alone opens up the passing game. And I think you got to keep him. You got to get an edge rusher on defense. You got to get a hard-hitting safety on defense. I'd like to see those upgrades. I'd like to see them find a new offensive tackle to bring along, because Lane Johnson is a little bit long in the tooth, 35, 36 years old, missed a bunch of games this past year. So that's a need they need to think about. But everything else, I think they're pretty good. The offensive coordinator needs to go. He's horrendous. I don't think he could beat me in a game of Madden. He's so bad. But the chickens came home to roost on Sunday because the Eagles' offensive woes, it's nothing new. It's been happening all year. Saquon Barkley didn't have the type of year in 2025 that he had in 2024. And then I think Jalen Hurts was underutilized in the rushing game. I think when he's running the ball and he's scrambling and making plays with his legs, he can be the 8th, 9th, 10th best quarterback in the league. But when he's just strictly operating from the pocket only, he's like the 13th, 14th, 15th best quarterback in the league. So you're not getting the bang for your buck with Jalen Hurts when you just limit him to pocket passing. Rushing is a very big strength of his game, and they need an OC out. They need an OC that can capitalize on that could make an entire offensive scheme around the talents that Jalen Hurts has, which is something that Kevin Patullo has no concept of, and that's why he needs to go. But I feel like if they make a few tweaks, they're not that far away. They just need to make a few tweaks, and their goals are still right in front of them. They can still win a second Super Bowl in 3 years. That's very hard to do. And as for the other guy on this card, Tua turned the ball over. My expectations for this card, he's obviously the second banana on this very, very pricey card. Was benched for the final 3 games of the season. But I would say, on a positive, at least he finished the year in one piece. That's the first time that's happened in quite a few years. So that's good. And, he is a former Pro Bowler. He did lead the league in passing yardage, QB rating, and completion percentage. All in different seasons, but still, at some point in his career, he led the league in all 3 of those categories. So, I'm also, I think about the other reclamation projects across the NFL, like Daniel Jones, who was playing like an MVP candidate before he got injured for the Indianapolis Colts. I think about Sam Darnold, who's still alive in the playoffs. And I mean, just 5, 6 years ago, you could have never convinced me that he had a shot to win a Super Bowl with anybody. And, with Seattle, he's got just as good a shot as any other starting QB to win the title. So Baker Mayfield's another guy who reinvented himself after a shaky start to his career. So, I think that Tua can, if he catches on with the right team. I have no information to know what Miami's going to do with his massive contract. I don't know where he's going to end up. But, I think about, just off the top of my head, if he was in Minnesota, you don't think he could beat out J.J. McCarthy for the starting quarterback job and hook up with Justin Jefferson, an elite wide receiver who statistically is coming off his worst season of his career? I think he would obviously welcome a change at QB. And Tua is a rhythm QB that needs time. He's a timing rhythm passer. And Justin Jefferson has oodles and oodles of talent that could more than make up for Tua's weak arm. And that would be an interesting combination, to be honest. Or how about Arizona? Kyler Murray doesn't look like he's the answer there. Marvin Harrison Jr. hasn't lived up to his billing, and it's probably hard as a wide receiver to play with a guy who plays backyard football at QB. Receivers need timing and rhythm to run their routes, and if you're going to just run around in circles like Kyler Murray's known to do, I mean, that probably screws up your timing at wide receiver. So, like, if you take Kyler Murray out of there, and obviously Jacoby Brissett's not the long-term solution either, but take those two guys out, put Tua in, maybe you can maximize Marvin Harrison's ability. Certainly got the pedigree to get it done. So, yeah, those are my thoughts. I'm going to keep this card. It's not up for sale. Not up for sale anytime soon. And, I'll just see how it goes with Jalen Hurts and Tua turn the ball over. All right, guys. Talk to you soon.